A very cute episode. This episode was a really good slice of life episode. We get to see just friends coming together, having fun, getting to see some romance growing between the two main characters, and just getting a nice, good, happy episode. This episode was cheerful, heart-touching. It was just an episode that would make you smile because it was just a cute episode getting to see these characters interact. Now, honestly, there was a lot of cliches in this episode. I mean, if you compare it with other slice of lives and beach episodes and stuff, I guess it did have its cliches, but this episode was good in its own downright. There wasn't fan service like you would usually expect in a beach episode, which is good, but at the same time, they managed to have a level of just freshness in this episode. I mean, really what this episode was to portray is the connection, Fujimiya has done to all these different cast of characters like Hase, Shogo, Saki. Pretty much, Fujimiya is the main center person, and she has managed to make all these people come together and become friends. And I felt like this episode was very appropriate for the title, 1 Week Friends, because it just felt like these friends wouldn't have, been friends if it wasn't for Fujimiya. So I like that a lot. This episode really showcases that, and it was a beautiful episode for that, and that original soundtrack was to die for. It really just ramped up the mood in scenes in these episodes, especially with the scene with Fujimiya and Hase alone, with the sunset and walking down the beach. That was a beautiful scene. The animation, that scene when you see them walking the beach and they're just staring off in the sunset, that was beautiful. It really was. It was a beautiful scene, and I felt like it just, I don't know, something about the atmosphere and mood of that scene really had a romantic vibe to it, and I love that. Now, speaking of romance, okay, it seems that Fujimiya, even though she's constantly forgetting, she's managing to be able to remember certain things that's happening in each passing week. Like, she's been able to remember the Saki Hase comment when they were talking about Fujimiya in front of her, of how, Saki brings up, oh, you might be falling in love with Fujimiya. I remember it was something about that, like, last episode or 2 episodes ago, and Fujimiya managed to remember some forms of that conversation. So right there, Fujimiya is kind of getting over her 1 week memory loss, and that's a good thing. We're seeing progression with her character, even though we're seeing, the standard slice life. Most people would look at this episode and probably think, like, nothing really happened. That's usually what people would look at this episode, and they would feel like it was a useless episode. Really, it was not. This episode was used to show that Fujimiya is progressing as a character, and that she is now being able to have friends, being able to go in the open and have friends, talk to people out in public, stuff like that. This episode was meant to betray that, and it just shows you how far Fujimiya has come as a character, and I love it. One thing though, Shogo brings up an interesting point in this episode that we've probably all been wondering. He talked to Hase and says, are you okay with things how they are? And pretty much what he was bringing up in that entire conversation is, we all know Hase loves Fujimiya, it's obvious. But there's one thing, Fujimiya cannot remember those emotions and good feelings that Hase and her spend, except some certain moments, which he's been able to remember. So right at this moment, Hase technically, he's, I guess, trying to develop a romance relationship with someone that constantly keeps forgetting and they have to start from ground zero, which is upsetting. It's very depressing seeing it from Hase's point of view. I mean, at the very least, at least he's caring for Fujimiya, and he's trying to get her over that entire memory loss. And I feel like if Hase was more aggressive with Fujimiya, she most likely would remember more memories and be able to remember Hase a lot more. But let's get on to the topic of something else, okay? We see a new character introduced at the end of this episode. He had black hair, and he kind of looks like Shogo, honestly, but a different version with a different hairstyle. So right there, we have a new character introduction. The ending part of this episode, we really don't know much about him, but he was introduced right at the end, and he says he's back in Tokyo finally. So here's the thing, right here. This is a theory I'm going to throw out there. Most likely this person that came out, like, at the end part of this episode, most likely it's the person that maybe caused Fujimiya to lose her memories, that important person she wanted to meet that day when she lost her memories. That could be the person. It really could, or that person could be related to Shogo in some form or fashion. Either way, that person's probably going to play a major part of Fujimiya's memories. So everybody, tell me your thoughts on this episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? What's your favorite moments about it? I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.